They said I should wear black, that I should be respectful, that I should hide. But I remembered what he called me, a disgrace, and I remembered how I begged him to love me. He never did. So I showed up in crimson heels, danced like the world was mine, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel ashamed. The day my father died, I didn't cry. I stared at the phone in my hand as the voice on the other end delivered the news, cold, formal, a tone made for informing strangers, not sons. I said, okay. Not, oh no. Not, I'm coming home. Just, okay. Because home never really was. He called me a disgrace the night I came out. I was 17. I'd lit candles because I thought maybe if the room was soft enough, maybe if the shadows danced kindly across his face, he might hear me with love in his chest instead of thunder. But when I said the words, I'm gay, his jaw stiffened. His hands clenched on the arms of the chair. I watched something collapse in his eyes. And then he stood. You're a disgrace to this family, Eli. I remember those exact words because they didn't shatter me like I expected. They froze me. Like ice behind the ribs. Cold enough to keep me breathing, barely. He left the room. Didn't say another word to me that night. Or the next. Or the next week. My mother whispered apologies, but never loud enough for him to hear. And I stopped trying. I left for college on a gray September morning and told myself I'd never go back. Years passed. I built my life in a different city. I kissed boys in the open. I wore eyeliner when I wanted. Heels when I felt strong. Dresses when I felt divine. I cried into the lap of a boy named Marcus after my first heartbreak. I learned how to walk through fire without asking it to soften. But deep down, a child version of me still waited for a call that never came. Not for my graduation. Not when I performed on stage for the first time in drag. Not when I got hospitalized after an anxiety spiral. He never reached. He never changed. So when I got the call that he'd collapsed, heart attack, gone in minutes, there was nothing left inside to crack. Just a vast, hollow acceptance. Like a final page turning in a book I stopped reading long ago. But the funeral? That's where I decided I'd write my ending. I knew they wouldn't want me there. I knew my aunt would clutch her pearls at the sight of me. My uncle would avoid eye contact. The neighbors would whisper. But I didn't care. Because I wasn't coming for them. I was coming for me. I showed up 15 minutes before the service started. The church was small. Wooden pews. Sunlight bleeding through stained glass in tired colors. I wore a black tuxedo jacket, tailored tight at the waist, but left it open to reveal a sequined crimson corset beneath. My pants were fitted, and the heels, oh the heels, 4 inches high. Red. Sharp. Unapologetic. Every click of them across the marble floor was a declaration. I am not hiding anymore. A few heads turned. One woman murmured, "Oh my God." Another pulled her child close like I was disease made flesh. But I walked on. To the front pew. Where my mother sat. She looked up. Took in the lashes. The lips. The fire in my posture. Her eyes watered, not with shame, but something older. Wiser. She gave me a small nod. That was all I needed. The service was filled with empty words. He was a man of principle. He loved deeply. A good father. I almost laughed. Almost screamed. Almost stood up and corrected the story. But I waited. Because I had one final number. When they called for anyone who would like to say a few words, I rose. My heels echoed like gunshots in the silence. Whispers surged like wind through dry leaves. I stepped onto the pulpit. Took the mic. I looked out at a sea of people who had seen me as a shadow. A blemish. A whisper behind closed doors. I won't talk about who he was, I said, voice steady. I'll talk about who I became, in spite of him. A pause. I am gay. I am proud. I am a man who wears heels and carries pain like a crown. My father never accepted me. Not once. But today I don't need his approval. Because I approve of me. Gasps swept the room. But not from me. And then I cued the music. It started slow, This Is Me from The Greatest Showman. A song I used to lip-sync to alone in my bedroom with a hairbrush mic and tears on my cheeks. The beat dropped. I unbuttoned the jacket. Let it fall to the floor. And I danced. Not like I was grieving, but like I was claiming. Every step, every spin, every heel click was a reclaiming of every insult, every cold shoulder, every time he said, boys don't cry, or real men don't wear that. I danced in defiance. I danced for the boy I used to be, the one who begged for love from a locked door. I danced for every queer kid who was ever made to feel like a mistake. And I danced for my father. Because he couldn't stop me anymore. By the time the music faded, I was breathless, my cheeks streaked with glitter and tears I didn't wipe away. The room sat frozen. One man walked out. Another clapped, tentatively. My mother stood up. And she applauded. Slowly. Steadily. Like a heartbeat returning after a long silence. Then others followed. Some didn't. That was fine. Because I hadn't come for applause. I'd come to bury the shame. After the funeral, a boy about 12 approached me outside. He was quiet, tense, fidgeted with the sleeve of his blazer. Was that scary? He asked. I crouched to his level. Terrifying. But you did it anyway? I had to. He looked down at his own shoes. I like pink, he whispered. Then wear it, baby, I said. The world might not clap, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. He smiled, small but real, and walked away with a little more color in his steps. I stood alone by the grave later. Just me and the stone that bore my father's name. I didn't speak. I didn't forgive. But I released. Rest, old man, I said at last. I'm dancing now.